Hello and welcome back to Learning Science Q&A. Today we are here with our next lot of questions from the series CBSE Board Class 10th 2025. So let's get started. The first question says the cartoon below addresses a growing concern. What impact will the process shown in the image have on humans if they occupy the last trophic level? So students, in our examination, nowadays we are having some questions which are based on the critical thinking or the analytical based questions which give you a picture or some kind of case studies, and you are supposed to answer the question given based on the given information. Now, we have taken a colored picture of the same for a better understanding. You can see in this image that we have a cabbage plantation growing here, and this transition shows that after the rain the runoff can contain these chemical which is going and mixing in the water body. That simply says that these marine animals are also consuming the same pesticide or chemical which is released in the rainwater. Now they are saying that if in a food chain, human is occupying last or the top level, what impact does this pesticide will have on the human? We have already discussed during the last lecture that energy during such food chain is transferred on the basis of 10% law. That means the major part of the energy is lost during this process for the reproduction, for respiration, for growth and maintenance of the life processes. Whereas the same is not happening in case of the toxic material, which is if entering into the food chain will be accumulating, or the better word is magnified during the process. Now let's see how this happens. Suppose we have a toxin which is entered or which is administered over a plantation, that would be taken by the first consumer level. Suppose we have mayflies here which have taken toxin from the water body which is present in the water. Now these mayflies have been taken by the bluegill. Now the toxin level you can see is increased in the bluegill. Similarly, the bluegill is consumed by a bigger fish, bass, which has again accumulated the same amount of toxin. And finally, when human is consuming these seafood, the toxin is magnified. So the ultimate impact on the human will be biomagnification of the toxin. Cadmium and mercury are very popular heavy metals which are popularly found in the water body, and they go on accumulating in the human body once consumed. Another term is bioaccumulation. Now, these both terms are related because once entered in the food chain, these toxins are not released, they are not eliminated along with the waste, rather they go on accumulating inside the food chain. Or you can say till they reaches to the last or the top trophic level, the amount is magnified. So the term biomagnification applies here. So this is the impact if the same food chain is occupied by the human as a last trophic level member. Next question. Anirudh took two metal oxide, aluminium oxide and magnesium oxide as it is shown in the picture. Both are white solid, but he forgot to label them. How will you guide Anirudh to identify the oxide and label them? Now, this question requires a very basic knowledge that aluminium oxide or aluminium being amphoteric its oxide can act as both acid and base. Whereas magnesium forms a basic oxide, so it will give a positive test for the basic oxides, whereas aluminium can react as both acid and base. So on the basis of this, these two powders can be separated. Let's see how. We have magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide, once added with water, or you can say it can readily dissolve with water, forming a magnesium hydroxide, which is a base. And this magnesium hydroxide will give a positive litmus test. If we take red litmus, this red litmus will be turned blue in presence of magnesium hydroxide. So whichever solution will turn red litmus to blue will be a basic solution. In this way it can be differentiated. Again, coming back to aluminium oxide, which is Al2O3, it is not soluble in water. That means it is not very readily soluble in water, but it can react with both acid and base. This is the one property that we see for amphoteric oxide. So aluminium, when reacting with acid, will act as base and it will form again salt and water like this. Okay. Also, it can act as a acid when reacting with a base to form salt and water. So water will also be formed. So how Anirudh will be classifying them? Aluminium oxide can react with both acid and base and will follow a neutralization reaction that produces salt plus water. Also, it is not very readily dissolving in water. Whereas magnesium oxide forms a base, which is hydroxide of magnesium, which will turn red litmus blue, showing or confirming that it is basic in nature. Now, in the given series of reaction, name the compound X and Z. Also tell which type of reaction is X to Z. That means we need to find the type of reaction which is taking place here. But before that, we'll be seeing what is produced in the given reaction. Students, for all the examination, type of reaction is one very important topic. Type of reaction that will include combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement and double displacement reaction, whether they are endothermic or exothermic kind of reaction, also neutralization reaction. So we always have one or two question based on the type of reaction kind of question. Coming back to questions, we have NaCl and water reacting with carbon dioxide, ammonia. What is formed in this reaction is NaHCO3, which is sodium hydrogen carbonate, and a salt of ammonia, which is ammonium chloride. Now, they are asking what will happen when this X is heated. This triangle sign shows its heating, and this particular reaction is decomposition reaction. So when this NaHCO3 will be broken down, or when it will be heated, it will produce sodium carbonate, hydrogen and carbon dioxide will be liberated. Also, this sodium carbonate Upon exposure to the water, it will absorb 10 molecule of water that we known as water of crystallization, and this is known as washing soda. Next, they are saying that water is used by the leaves of the plant for photosynthesis, but why we are watering roots of the plant rather than watering them in the leaf? How exactly does the water reaches to the leaves of the plant? So let's see this question. In the root of every plant, we have this very fine hair kind of structure that increases the surface area, and they are known as the root hair. So these root hair are mainly working for the absorption of water by increasing the surface area. Now once water is present in the surrounding, it has been absorbed by the root and it is present towards the root region. The main question comes how it is reaching to a height where leaf is performing photosynthesis. Now, for this, plant has water conducting tissue. They are complex kind of tissue which are further divided, or you can say they have further component named as vessels, tracheids, xylem fiber, and xylem parenchyma. So these are the component of xylem tissue, and they are helping in the upward conduction of water from the root towards the leaf. Also, during summer or during daytime, because of the transpiration, when water is lost from the leaf region, the leaf is actually deficient in the water, which creates a pressure which, because of the capillary pull, lifts the water from this lower region to upper region against gravity, and yes, this process requires energy, whereas absorption of water from the surrounding by the root hair is a passive process which does not require any energy. So we can say from the root, water reaches to the leaf of the plant with the help of the water conducting tissue, which is xylem, which has four main component: vessels, tracheids, fiber, and parenchyma. Vessels are arranged in small chamber like structure, so they help in the upward movement of the water through these vessels. You can see through inside this they can move like this. And the case when leaves are already releasing or losing water because of transpiration, leaf is already deficient in water, and this helps in the upward movement of the water from the root towards the leaf. Next, we have two figures. First figure says shoot of a plant which is bending towards the light. Second shows folding of leaf of touch me not plant, also known as Mimosa pudica. Right? So they are asking you what causes the bending of shoot in the plant as shown in figure A. Also, they are asking you what causes the folding of leaves in touch me not plant as shown in figure B. Whether these two kind of bending or folding are same. So answer is no. You need to answer either of them. We are going to take both of these. First one, the bending of shoot towards the light is phototropism. These all questions are based on the tropic movement. So whenever a shoot is bending towards the light, it is phototropism. Shoots are synthesizing a chemical, or you can say a plant hormone, which is mainly synthesized at the tip region of the plant. So when a tip region of the plant is synthesizing auxin here, which is sensitive to the sunlight. So upon exposure to sunlight, this auxin shifts to the shaded region of the plant, which causes more growth towards the shaded region in comparison to the region which is exposed to the sun, which causes its bending towards the light, right? Secondly, so this is the example for phototropism. Secondly, we have folding of leaves in touch me not plant. This is an example of thigmotropism, where the plant is bending or folding in response to touch or mechanical disturbance or touch, anything you can see. It's not necessary that you touch it with your fingers only. You can touch it with your with some stick also, it will get folded. So how it is happening? This is happening with response to a electrical signal which is taking place somewhere here at the pulvinous region. In response to the mechanical touch, this pulvinous, or you can say the cells of the pulvinous, releases water and potassium. This drops the turgor pressure and it results in the folding of leaves just ahead that region. Suppose at this region you are touching it, so these all leaves will get folded with response to the touch. So bending of shoots towards light is phototropism. Folding of leaves with in response to touch is thigmotropism, and these two are totally different process. Next we are having compare the movement of growth of pollen tube towards the ovule with the movement shown in part A of the above figure. Again, the movement of pollen tube towards the ovule is an example of chemotropism. That means once a compatible pollen grain or pollen reaches to the stigma, the chemicals are released which gives a positive signal which results in the growth of a pollen tube towards the ovary, right? So growth of a pollen tube towards the ovule is a result of chemical signal which is released once a compatible pollen is reaching to the stigma, which releases chemical sending a positive signal resulting in the growth of pollen tube towards the ovule, and these are the movement which are noticed in the pollen tube. So this is a chemotropism case. Lastly, we have compared the movement shown in figure B with the movement of body parts in animal. So students, in case of animal, the movements are very carefully controlled and coordinated. The movement take place in specific direction, like we have growth of our fingers, but these growth are never haphazard. They do not grow randomly. They always occur in definite direction. These growth can, of course, sometimes can be very fast or slow, but always in a very carefully controlled mechanism. So this is how you are going to answer this. So with this, we end this lecture today. Hope you liked it. Please follow for more. Thank you.